Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Flameworking just for fun. Father's Day is coming up and this year I wanted to make my dad something special. And I thought it would be great to make him a marble. And I am going to make a mountain marble for him. So this mountain marble is going to depict Pikes Peak. And Pikes Peak is the most predominant mountain peak on the southernmost front range of the Rocky Mountains. It's all in my parents' backyard and it's beautiful, and I thought it would be just a lot of fun to see if I could just, depict this on a marble. Let's go ahead. I'm going to give it a try and I hope you all enjoy this. You can absolutely use this technique and size it to whatever shape and size you like. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time in the dungeon. Okay, so here is a photo I took from my parents' backyard, and you can see here the mountain range and Pikes Peak is all snowy in the background there. So it's nice to have a reference point when you're trying to do a landscape that's specific to somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to start everything out with a big thick piece of clear. This is a 8 to 9 millimeter rod of clear. And what I want to do is just get it hot, about an inch down, fold it in half, and just start gathering up as much clear as I can. And this is going to be the core of the marble. So I just want to take a little bit of time to shape it up in the marble mold. And when I feel comfortable, I am going to go ahead and punty up. And I am using kind of a thicker punty because I know that at the end the marble is going to be heavy. So I'm using like an 1/8 inch punty here. Okay, I'm going to cast that glass off and then shape it up one more time. You can see all of my colors there in the background that I'm going to use. All of these colors and the packages of the cane that I've pulled out are all written down in the description. Well, they're all written there in the below the description. Okay, so before I actually start adding any color here, I want to get to a shape that is easy to add my landscape to, which is this nice long shape here. It's going to be easier than to add it to a round shape. And you can see I have about, my marble mold is about 1 inch and almost, I think 1 inch and almost 1/2. Okay, so I am just going to go ahead and use this. This is a marbled turquoise, and it's a great color for the sky. It is just a beautiful mixture of turquoise, like a light turquoise and white. So it gives you a really nice sky looking effect. So I'm going to just haphazardly get that all over about 3/4 of the way on this bit of color, or this bit of clear here. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time just heating it up. I spend a lot of time heating this marble, and I did cut some of it out because it took about an hour, a little bit more than an hour to make this whole piece, and a lot of it was just heating. So what I'm going to do is just shape this up and get back into that kind of long shape that I had to begin with. I want to make sure that the sky is nice and low. You don't want it, you want it, because you're going to put the mountains on top of it anyways, but just make sure that you have enough sky to cover what you need. Okay, the shape looks good for me to continue. And I'm going to use the mountain cane, and I'll start out just by kind of scribbling it onto the bottom and covering up all this clear. It doesn't really matter how you apply it here. This is the very mountain, it's like the mountain base. And we'll be putting some trees on top of this, so you won't really see it. But as I am kind of creeping up this piece, I will start to go over that center part and add the peaks of the mountain. And then I'll fill that in later. But for now, what I want to do is secure that bottom edge to as close as I can get to the punty. Get everything back in center. And now I want to focus real quick on the peak, on Pikes Peak here. And I have my peak cane, which has some white in it to make it look a little bit more snowy. And I'm going to take this mountain peak and go higher than I think I need to go. Because when you round this out, everything's going to soften. It won't look as high as it does. So in the actual picture, Pikes Peak, it doesn't look like this high peak like this. So as you round it out later on, everything will kind of mellow out. So I'm going to start adding this peak in little stripes and start going down and filling in that area where the sky is. A little bit more snow there. And now I'm going to finish by filling in the rest of these mountain peaks that are in the foreground. So the peak is in the background, and this is my chance to make the foreground look like a foreground. So I'm bringing the edge of those mountains down across that landscape. So it looks like there's a foreground and a background. Okay, so now that the mountains are in there, the mountain range, what I want to do is just start to heat my glass up in the flame, and this is what I call burnishing the glass. So I'm burnishing this glass while I am heating it. I am also rolling it on the graphite paddle, and it just kind of pushes everything and flattens it a little quicker. Okay, and I just want to make sure everything is nice and flat here, because this is all I'm going to do for this layer. You'll see here in a second how it looks. And just something with mountains in it. You can make this on a bead. This could be a pendant. The marble I love. My dad will love this. But there's Pikes Peak. There it is. And the mountain range on the front range. Okay, so now what I want to do is coat the whole thing in clear. And the reason why I want to do this, it's not necessary, it's kind of optional, but the reason why I like to have the clear in between is so when I put the trees on top of it, there's kind of like this depth behind the trees, also with the clouds as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start to encase everything by swiping my clear from the top to the bottom, making sure I overlap as I go. And the important thing here is to make sure that you have a very even coating of clear. If you don't, then when you go to roll it out and smooth everything down, the background will look kind of ruffled. Now there's a few places here where I caught a little bit of color in my clear that I didn't realize, so you'll see a couple of little flaws later on in the sky, but that's okay. When you're making something that's off the cuff like this that you've never made, you have to, expect that maybe, it's not going to be absolutely perfect, but I'm okay with that. As long as they're only small flaws that it is what it is. Okay, so as I'm rolling this out, you'll see some areas that I'm going to fill in here. So this gives you a good indentation of low-lying areas of clear that you'll want to fill in, and that you'll see that when you start to roll it out. Okay, I think I got all my clear on here, so I'm just going to go ahead and start heating everything up. This heating process here, it took like 5 minutes. I was kind of amazed at how long it took to get everything back smooth the way I needed it to. Okay, so here's how it looks after I've heated it and smoothed it out, and you can see it's kind of rounded out a little bit, and that's fine. Now what I want to do is go ahead and add my clouds. And if you've ever seen me do the clouds before, it's really simple. It's just what I do is a wiggle, wiggle, pull. That's what I do, wiggle, wiggle, pull on all my clouds. And I kind of will overlap them as well. And it works real nice. I'm using a Latticino cane that's coated in clear. Maybe it wasn't the best idea, but it looks good in the long run. Okay, so now what I want to do is start to flatten those clouds out. It'll be a lot easier and quicker to heat up and melt into the glass after you press these down a little bit. And you notice over time the heat in the marble, it starts to round out naturally. That's just how the glass is. Okay, here we have our marble right before we add all of our trees. So I have the sky, you see those weird marks, maybe it's a UFO, I don't know. Okay, so I want to add the tree trunks now, and I'm using some very thin stringer for these tree trunks. And when you're done, these look a lot thicker than they are because they're not encased in clear. So I'm going to just add a few trees here and there. I don't want to add too many. I want to make sure that you can see the mountains in between the trees. Okay, I have a little bit more to add here, and that looks good. So I'm going to take a second to just very gently heat and smooth out all of these tree trunks. I want them nice and smooth, very close to the surface of the marble before I start adding the leaves, so I don't have any undercuts. Okay, so, I'm going to have to do a demo just on like foliage. I'm really, don't do a lot of like floral beads that has leafage in it. So really what I'm doing here is I'm just picking little areas, and I'm pushing and pulling little bits of the color out off of both sides of the tree trunks. And I'm not going to overdo it. I just want to give the idea of there being leaves on the trees. Now I'll add a little extra at the bottom, but I still want to make sure that those mountains are going to be in view. And do remember that while you're working on something like this, you want to continuously keep it warm. You add a little bit of detail, you warm the whole thing up, you add a little bit more detail, and you warm it up again. You never want to lose the heat inside of your marble. You don't want it too hot, but you definitely don't want it to break. Okay, so here at the end, this is kind of fun. I'm just going to heat up some areas of the trees and grab and pull these little peaks out to emulate those fir trees and the peaks of them. Okay, when I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and smooth that out a little bit. And that's really going to help everything just melt together that much quicker. And now all we have to do is smooth it out, and then we'll punty it up. Okay, here's how it looks so far. This is kind of a cool little view of it while it's still hot. Okay, so, the whole top is coated in clear. So I'm going to add my punty right into the clear part, and then take the other side off. Okay, I do want to take a second to pull the bottom to a point a little bit. That'll make the ending of it look nice and neat. Okay, I'm going to heat that bottom half up and just start to pat in that little point there. And then we can go ahead and start to round this out. Now, if you've never rounded out a marble, I have several different videos where I am making marbles that I hope maybe I have a better explanation of how to use the marble mold. But the most important thing about using the marble mold is not to cut into the marble with the edge of the marble mold. And I just kind of did it right there, but that's okay. I'm going to heat it out real quick. And the marble mold is smaller than my marble is. So what I'm doing is I'm very gently gliding my marble and rolling it in that kind of open surface of the mold. I'm not pressing it all the way in. I'm just very gently rolling it out. And what you're looking for here is a solid core to your marble and a kind of a hot outside, and that will help you to round your marble out. Okay, I like the way this is looking, and I'm just going to give it a little bit more shape and heat here. All right, at the end, I just kind of want to fire polish everything, make sure it looks good and nice and round. I like the way that looks. So we're going to go ahead, and you see how the mountains kind of got a little lower? That's because when it rounds out, it kind of like stretches that whole skyline out. Okay, so I'm going to get my glass punty now. This is my final punty, and I'm going to roll it into a kind of a rounded pencil point and put it right on the end of my marble. You want a cool marble. When you push that punty on the marble, you don't want that marble to become indented. You want it to remain nice and round, and adding a softer punty to it. Okay, it's going to let me go ahead and take the other punty off, which should come off just nice and easy. And all I have to do right now is just finish shaping it up and take it off the punty and give it a fire polish. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Here, if you've been watching to the end, you'll see that I lost the marble and it went flying all over my tabletop, and I was able to get it into the oven before it broke. So I'm really happy about that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was so much fun to get Pikes Peak and the mountainside in the glass here. And that is it. And I hope to see you all next time. Take care.